Good morning to my West Coast colleagues who are on the phone, and good afternoon to everyone here on the East Coast in the middle of the country, and happy National Library Week to everybody. I am the Youth Services Consultant at the State Library of Ohio, and I'm going to speak a little bit to the role of libraries relative to Summer Food Service Program and why this is a great match for us in libraries. I do come from the library side, not the museum side, but I think much of this will be relevant both to libraries and museums, because what libraries do and what museums do at core is to care about the welfare of the children, teens, and families in our communities. Public libraries are about literacy, we're about information, we're about education, but we're also about community building, we're about exploration, and we're about supporting the development and the aspirations of our young people. But when kids' basic needs aren't being met, those kids don't have the capacity or the motivation to participate in the sorts of enrichment activities, literacy opportunities, and other events and activities that libraries and museums have to offer. As it says on the slide, hungry kids don't read. For kids who rely on school meals, as Jimmy alluded to, food doesn't just appear in the summer. Way too many of our kids and teens are food insecure, especially during the summer months. They're missing breakfast and lunch. They're also missing the other benefits of school, which I would say is primarily something constructive to do during the summer in a supervised, safe, temperature-controlled environment. This is something that a museum or a library can step in and fill. But there's a problem of policy and perception. These signs exist. They're actually getting rarer in libraries. Libraries and museums are really embracing our role as community center, as the place where people gather and connect with each other and follow their pursuits. All sorts of learning happens in our buildings, not just book learning. Always books. There will always be books in libraries. But libraries are really for people, not for books. And more libraries are relaxing the old rules and creating spaces where people can explore, where they can hang out, where they can gather, and even where they can eat. This is really a big shift for libraries and a big shift in perception that's needed by the whole community to realize what the library and the museum really have to offer beyond the stereotypes of what people think libraries and museums are for. It's not just about food, but food is what we're talking about today. So let's take a quick poll and see where our libraries and museums are on this. Could you let us know what your workplace's policy is on food? If you don't work in a library or museum, think about the library or museum in your community in answering this. We are right down the center here. It's very interesting. Going to leave the poll open for just another few seconds. Neck and neck, but the yeses have it. Thank you very much for participating. I appreciate it. And it's interesting. These results are really demonstrating that we are in the middle of this shift. And again, it's not just about food. And it's not like a library that allows you to bring in food is somehow better or more forward-thinking a library. But there are connections between how we perceive what our buildings are for and what our buildings can be used for and what people can actually do in them. Now, summer of 2016 is a great time for libraries to say yes to the Summer Food Service Program, largely because our two major providers of materials for library summer reading programs, these are iRead and the Collaborative Summer Library Program, are both featuring themes this year that are outwardly about sports, but that also invite libraries to incorporate all sorts of content about healthy lifestyles, wellness, fitness, nutrition. Also, both the CSLP and iRead are actively encouraging libraries to consider the Summer Food Service Program. Not only does it tie in well with this year's themes, every summer libraries are a great match for the Summer Food Service Program. We as librarians and museum educators want to reach as many of the kids and families in our communities as possible over the summer when they're out of school. If a child is hungry, obviously reading is just not a priority, but this establishes a great opportunity for us to make our libraries and museums and learning organizations accessible and attractive to kids and families who may not think they are interested in the library or may not think they're welcome in the library. Once we get them in the door or get them to show up at our outreach location, if that's where we're doing this, they'll see that it's not just books and that it's something for everyone, including them. So this slide replicates what Jimmy had on his earlier slide, but I'm going to go into a little bit more detail about several ways that libraries and museums can consider participating. From this lineup is from the most intensive to the least. Most libraries and museums will likely not feel that you have the capacity to be the SFSP sponsor in your community, but if there is no local sponsor and your community is eligible for the summer food service program, your kids are currently cut off from summer meals. So it may be worth considering. If this is your situation and you might consider becoming a sponsor, please get hold of your state administering agency or feel free to contact me no matter where you are, and I will find out who that agency is and put you in touch with them. More within the scope of most of the folks here on this webinar and in line with many of our realities is to become a site. Libraries are free and open to all. Children and teens are always welcome. Our meeting rooms and our outdoor program areas are great sites for us to serve food. It's doable. You don't have to prepare the food if you're a site. You don't have to incur any monetary cost. Jimmy mentioned open sites. I believe that in most or all cases participating libraries and museums would be open sites, which means that food is provided for all the kids who show up regardless of their individual circumstances. So there's no registration, there are no privacy concerns, and a great service that you're providing to everyone. If there are already plenty of sites nearby, you're lucky. Or if you can't commit to being a site, please do consider approaching the sites in your area. Offer to bring a cart of books or a story time, an art program, summer reading program materials, or some sort of enrichment activity to engage and entertain the kids at the SFSP sites. This is a matter of library outreach, and it's right in the library's wheelhouse. As is referring kids and families to local summer food service program sites and sharing information with the wider community about the availability of summer meals in your area. In Ohio in 2015, 80 public libraries served as summer food service programs, summer food service program sites, which is wonderful, but we have many other eligible communities and many ways to grow our participation. The state library has created a resource guide for interested libraries, which goes into detail about the 4 ways to participate. The link that's on your screen right now will connect you to that resource guide. The USDA Food and Nutrition Service is developing a similar tool for national use, but meanwhile, no matter where you're located and whether you're a library or museum representative, I encourage you to take a look at our Ohio site. While some of the links and resources there are state-specific, there's really plenty to get anyone anywhere thinking about what their next steps might be. In Ohio, many of our libraries took it upon themselves to participate. Some of them have been SFSP sites for quite a long time, but over the last year we've really ramped up a statewide effort to get more libraries aware of, knowledgeable about, and empowered to participate. We are certainly neither the first nor the only state to support library participation at a statewide level. I know that several of my counterparts at state library agencies are on this webinar today, and there are great statewide efforts going on all around the country. When I started researching the SFSP in libraries, Patrice Chamberlain from the California Summer Meal Coalition and her partner Natalie Cole from the California Library Association, who co-managed lunch at the library, were both just amazingly supportive and helpful. If I have the knowledge and the involvement to be on a national webinar about SFSP, it's because of Patrice's and Natalie's wisdom and encouragement. So I am going to show you a slide very briefly with my contact information. It'll appear later on at the end of the webinar, but I'm really honored to pass the microphone on to Patrice Chamberlain, who will share some great ideas and experiences about partnerships and collaboration and more. Thanks very much.